guys, welcome to the Permission to Hustle podcast. For all new listeners, welcome. Thanks for listening. For all seasoned listeners, welcome back. Love having you guys here. Obviously, I run this podcast with Vera Sweeney. We do not live near each other, and I'm going to be honest with you. It is one of the things that we struggle with the most is proximity. We love to be able to shoot things together because even when we're shooting things over, we'll do it maybe just over Zoom, our podcasts, we don't get to see each other. We don't get to actually work off of each other the way that we do when we're in person. So sometimes you get podcasts that are solo. Sometimes you get podcasts that are together, but that's the treasure hunt of the Permission to Hustle podcast. You never know what you're going to get. But today it's just me. And today I'm talking about being intentionally fearless. So I had the great opportunity last week to go speak at PricewaterhouseCoopers about being intentionally fearless. And I was honored to be asked to speak there because I'm going to be honest with you, it's something that I've always wanted to do is break more and more and more into the business corporate speaking engagements. You know, for me, I love being a blogger. I love being a digital content creator, but I know where my strengths are. My strengths are not speaking to 100 bloggers about how to properly SEO your website. My strengths are not speaking to, the tech side of HTML code. You know, my strengths, as I've always known, is really just in the storytelling. To be honest with you, it's where my love is. It's where my passion is that storytelling piece of being a digital content creator. I can create content however I want. And that for me is what I love. But I got to speak talking about what it's like to be intentionally fearless about your life, your work, your personal, anything out there that really comes down to walking into unknown territory. Let's be honest, when you say being fearless, it's just another way of being brave, right? It's the fear of the unknown. It's not knowing what's around the corner. It's kind of blazing new territory for yourself. And why I loved the topic of this conference so much is because it doesn't matter what you do. We are all fearless. We've all been fearless at some point in our lives. Maybe it was deciding what college to go to. Maybe it was deciding where to take our first job. To be honest with you, it's deciding who we're going to spend the rest of our lives with. It's deciding if you're going to dive into the adventure of parenthood. It's something that we don't know how it's going to turn out, but you do it anyway. You're fearless. You kind of just go for it. You roll the dice. Maybe maybe you're being strategic when you're making your fearless decisions in life, but a lot of the times it just comes down to doing it. It's just letting go and letting it happen. And I loved speaking about this fearlessness with everybody because in all honesty, if you're not fearless in your business, if you're not fearless in your personal life, then you're not living. You're not going out there. You know, I love watching people like Gary Vee. I love listening to women like, who are some of the women I love? Like Jenna Kushner. I love really being able to be inspired and motivated by certain people. But the one common denominator that all these people have is that they've just been fearless at some point in their lives. You know, Gary Vee decided to go out there and talk about social media. And I remember being at the Twitter 140 conference years ago and really feeling this connection to, wow, this guy's got something. He's not afraid to swear. He's not afraid to kind of be balls to the wall crazy. He's not afraid to say where he thinks trends are going. And we're talking maybe like 10, 11 years ago. My son Henry was just born and Henry's going to be 11. So Gary Vee was fearless. And everybody looks to him now as a beacon, as a temple, as a go-to source. You know why? Because he was fearless enough to put himself out there. And there are probably 100, 200, 300,000 other Gary V's out there that just weren't fearless enough to put themselves on the line and be who they are. That's what makes Gary Vee special. That's the secret to his sauce, in my opinion. Now, I personally love being around people that are fearless because I kind of feed off of that energy. I really have always felt this zest for life being around people that are fearless. And if you stop and think about it right now, think about the people that you turn to for inspiration or motivation. Maybe it's your mom and dad. Maybe it's your spouse. Maybe it's your best friend. Maybe it's a group on Facebook or a special tribe that you have found at your work. And I bet if you stopped and think about it, the reason you turn to these people is because they tell you how it is. They're not afraid to let you know how they feel. And that within itself is being fearless. You're fearless enough to turn to someone that you know is going to tell you the truth. And so I wanted this podcast to be about you looking at yourself and answering this question. When have you been intentionally fearless? Now, we can all be fearless in our life, but when have you been intentionally fearless lately? Maybe you partnered up with somebody that you've never partnered up before. Maybe you put a price out to a client that was way out of your price range, but you're being fearless enough to say, this is what I'm worth. Maybe it was hiring somebody on your team and you've never had somebody on your team before. When have you been intentionally fearless? How did it make you feel? Did it make you feel alive? Did it make you feel scared? Did it make you feel like I got this? Because a lot of the times I've always thought of being fearless like dominoes. Once you do it once, you can do it again and again and again. And when I was talking to this group of women at PricewaterhouseCoopers, I actually shared my story of diving into the world of blogging back in 2000, I'd say 6, and not knowing what exactly this world had to offer. Now, a lot of bloggers who have started just in the last few years, it's a different world than when we all started years ago. And it's funny because a lot of us call each other the OG bloggers. And we call each other that because this was a time before Twitter. This is a time before Instagram, before Pinterest, before Facebook for the masses. It was just for college students when I started. YouTube may have been out there, but I certainly didn't know anybody that was using it. I mean, I knew one girl that was using YouTube at that time, and I'll never forget her telling me this at a blogging conference. She was featured on the homepage, and I remember her saying, well, I knew the person who put videos on the homepage. Now, can you imagine knowing the person that put the videos on the homepage of YouTube? I mean, I don't even know if there is such a person anymore. It's probably just an algorithm. But that was when I started. That was when people actually read blogs and commented continuously. That was the early days. And I remember saying to my husband, I want to make a career out of this. I like this thing. I don't know where it's going to go, but I like it. And there's a fearlessness there's a twofold fearless factor here. My husband was fearless enough to say to me, okay, go for it. Because he could have looked at me and said, you're crazy. Get a real job, Audrey. Get a real job with a salary and benefits. But he didn't. He looked at me and said, if you think you can make this work, then go for it. And there was fearlessness for me in going, I don't know what I'm getting into, but I like it and I'm going to keep running with it. And I'm not going to stop until I make something happen. Because that is what you need to do sometimes. And it doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur or not. Sometimes you just need to go and go and go until it happens. And the people that become the most successful, at least the people that I've seen and I've watched and I've read about and I've followed, they're the ones that didn't stop. It's not just dumb luck, because dumb luck only gets you so far. Grit and determination gets you further. And that is where the fearlessness comes into play. So I want to encourage all of you out there right now, do something that's fearless in the next week. Maybe it's something small, maybe it's something huge, maybe it's something medium, right? All things come in all different kind of sizes and shapes. Do one thing that makes you look at yourself and go, good for you, that took balls, I was fearless. Because I promise you right now, once you start, you will not stop. And not everything you do is going to come easy, but I promise you, if you keep working at it, it will pay off in the long run. It will matter, I promise. And that's hard to see sometimes when you're up close and personal. And everything that we do for ourselves is very personal. But it is something that you should give yourself. It's a gift to yourself to be fearless. And it's something that I'm trying to teach my own children now is to be fearless, to go for it, to not care what other people say or do or think. What do you want to do? Do it. Go for it. Is it going to make you happy? Is it going to turn out? You don't know how it's going to turn out, but is it going to turn out some way? Yes. Then go for it. So I want you all to be intentionally fearless this week. And I know we're not supposed to timestamp these. So maybe you're listening to this and I shot this podcast weeks ago or a year ago, months ago. Well, then take this next 7 days, whenever it is that you're listening to this, and go do something fearless. All right, guys. So that is my Permission Awesome podcast for you today. Have an awesome day. Come over and follow us on Facebook. We have a really great group over there. We love sharing advice and information and inspiration and motivation every single day. And as always, as we like to share with everybody, always give yourself permission to hustle. Always. Always, always, always. And go be fearless today. Go on and do it. I promise. And then let me know what you did and how it turned out.